Good afternoon, everyone. The webinar will begin shortly in 5 minutes. Please remember to keep your mics off throughout the event. Thank you.
Let me be the change I want to see, to do with strength and wisdom all that needs to be done, and become the hope that I can be. Set me free from my fears and hesitation. Spirit to face the challenge. dibdib mo'y buhay, lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiging, sa manlulupig, di ka masisi, sa dagat at mundong sasimoy at sa langit mamahal, may nilagang tulad, awit sa panlayang minamahal, ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidibdib, ang bituin at araw niyang kailan pa may di magdidilim, lupa ng araw ng buwan, ating pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo, aming ligaya lamang may mamati, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
All right. Good afternoon, students and esteemed guests.
I'm Colleen.
I'm Ivan, and we'll be your hosts for this year's Echo Talk, Nature's Economy and Technology.
On behalf of Greenergy and the Natural Science Department and De La Salle College of St. Benilde, we would like to formally welcome you all to today's event. We are so excited to host this event, and we feel honored to introduce to you our guest speakers that graciously allotted their time from their busy schedules to be here today and give us all diverse perspectives on how nature and technology can be utilized in the pursuit of sustainability.
And now, to share some words before we begin, we would like to welcome the advisor of Greenergy, Mr. Michael Lewis Ong.
Thank you, Ivan. So let us just wait for the spotlight. Okay, na, no? I'm good to go. Okay. So a pleasant afternoon to our Benildan students, fellow faculty members, speakers, and organizers, as well as participants from outside the college, if ever we have some, because we are streaming live on YouTube. So once again, I am Mr. Michael Lewis Ong, the advisor of Greenergy, and I formally welcome you to this year's Eco Talk entitled Nature's Economy and Technology. So first of all, let me commend you for your dedication to learn more about the environment despite the trials that this pandemic has been presenting. While this ordeal has evidently impacted our economy in terms of, monetary resources and product manufacturing, there is no doubt that the environmental repercussions are just as grave, if not even more. So today is actually the 1 year mark for the declaration of the lockdown of Metro Manila by President Rodrigo Duterte. No? Last year, during this day, we were at 52 cases. Now we have already exceeded 600,000 in total. And barring the whole, Manila Bay controversy, minimal local attention has been given to the potential environmental crisis that we could be facing as a result of the pandemic. Today, let us all take one step forward and educate ourselves with something that truly matters, taking care of our planet. I urge all of you to reflect on the messages that our insightful speakers will share with us today. So thank you, everyone. And the floor is once again yours, our hosts and masters of the ceremony, Colleen and Eva.
All right, thank you for sharing those words, Sir Ong. I'm pretty sure a lot of us here will take away a thing or two from the insights that will be shared by our guest speakers today. And now to proceed to the core of the event, our next speaker is Ms. Clara Therese Miranda, who obtained her bachelor's degree in biology at St. Paul University and her master's in De La Salle University for biology as well. She is currently an instructor at University of Santo Tomas as well as a lecturer here at De La Salle College of St. Benilde. Let us welcome Ms. Clara Therese Miranda. Ms. Miranda, the floor is yours.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I can't seem to Now, if you all can see my screen or my video anyway, please let me know in the chat box kung may nahihirapan bang makakita, but hopefully it's working. So I'll be starting off with a discussion on the sustainable development, wherein I'll be sharing my experiences when I put up a business with consideration to the environment. So it's actually a sustainable lifestyle store. But before we proceed with that, I'll start off with a little background or history. Okay, so we have here a description of a sustainable development, wherein it is a development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So actually, it started in the early 1900s, wherein the Industrial Revolution paved way for the mass production. So with advancement in technology, we were able to actually manufacture products in large quantities. Okay, so this has been made possible for us. If you would remember your previous lessons in SciTech that we started in history of science and technology, then I hope you remember that part. So this industrial revolution led to actually an increase in the urban population. That when compared, only 6% of the United States population lived in the cities in during the 1800s, while it increased to up to 40% in the 1900s. Along with this increase in urbanization, the technologies have developed and ultimately changed our way of living. One example is that it allowed us to harvest more resources, as I have cited a while ago. Okay? So this development now led us to have more resources for ourselves, being able to sustain our needs, and even having a surplus of materials or an excess. And so the population grows, there will be also an increase in the demand for resources. Therefore, when we talk about sustainability, we're actually pertaining to how we care for the environment, as what Mr. Ong has also cited a while ago, with consideration again for the future generations, meaning we have to act responsibly, that we only have to consume what we need and not more than what we need, um, to allow the materials to be available for the future use of the future generation. So this caring for the environment also means caring for ourselves, because it is where the environment is where we harvest our resources that provides us with our daily needs in order for us to survive the everyday lives. Okay, but with the current rate of consumption and actually pollution, which are byproducts of industrial processes, um, as this remains, the earth cannot actually sustain our needs. So, hindi na tayo nagiging sustainable. Therefore, the developments and societal progress are only possible if we only take into account the not only the economic side or the profits, but also the status of our environment and even the social aspects of it, or where when we talk about social aspects, we're also pertaining to the equality in the amount of resources that each of us can actually have. Okay, and so here it shows the different effects of climate change. Why did I include a slide on climate change? Simply because when we neglect the problems on sustainability, um, wherein we are harvesting more than what we need and more than the amount of resources that our environment can actually replenish at a certain amount of time, this would lead to the different effects of climate change as indicated. For example, there will be water scarcity, there will be rising of sea levels, etc. I believe that most of us are now aware of the risks that this pose to us. as these are also cited, or this will also be discussed in the later parts of your science technology. But other than that, I'm pretty sure that all of you have noticed and have noticed the changes in the environment and its detrimental effects or its risk or damages to the environment where we are living in. Therefore, this opens now to be this opens now the businesses to be put in a position to influence positive benefits for the people and the planet through, for example, their daily operations, some supply chain management, and even the procurement practices in consideration to the effects of climate change. Therefore, we must link the different sustainability goals of a company, for example, with the sustainability challenges of the world. So that is in order for us to achieve economic prosperity. So as you can see here, there are three pillars of sustainability. And as I said, sustainability is not just about the environment, not just about society, not just about economy. So it's an connection of these three with this diagram showing that the societal progress or the social equity as well as the economic prosperity are actually constrained by the by the environmental quality, meaning we cannot achieve this prosperity or social equity if you do not have a healthy source of resources. For example, we cannot harvest quality resources if we have polluted air, water, or even have contaminated food source. Okay? So, um, this now leads me to this portion of the presentation. But before I proceed with introducing the type of business that I've put up, um, let me just identify some of the benefits of integrating sustainable practices in our businesses. So one, of course, is cost savings through energy efficiency and waste reduction. Another is the increased market share by attracting climate conscious consumers. Another is to earn positive attention from the media and even advocacy groups. And also to motivate the workforce and enjoy the increased employee productivity and reduced hiring costs. So this will be pertaining to bigger companies. But overall, these are the benefits of incorporating sustainable practices in our businesses. Okay? So I wanted to share with you my experience in starting a sustainable lifestyle store, wherein through this store, I wanted to provide eco-friendly alternatives, as you can see from this slide, um, which are which are compostable, which are reusable. Therefore, this does not add up to the amount of waste that are being put in the landfills. Okay, so with this store, I highly encourage our customers to engage in the responsible consumer movement by also offering a circular life cycle for our product containers, wherein if they buy from the initially if they buy from the store, they can make use of the same container and refill it, and they will get some incentives. So we will go into the details of it when we go to the next few slides. Okay, basically these are the products that I have offered. These are basic household products because I also am consuming this product. So um, as I consume these products, I buy in bulk and offer this products to the local community. As I have observed that there are not much stores that offer this kind of products within our like house or within the our area of residence. Okay, so I'll start off with working with the suppliers. Of course, initially when I started this business, I took into consider the different suppliers that I'll be working with. Um, and initially, if you are also planning to put up a business, this doesn't necessarily mean that owning a business or putting up a business would cause damage to our environment. So one way of what do you call it, limiting this risks in the environment is to buy from or to purchase from local suppliers whenever possible. So ensure that my products are from local suppliers, that it lessens or it lower the amount of carbon emission that um, is a product of the transportation of the materials. Okay? So with the availability of the local suppliers, then hindi masyadong madaming malaki yung distance na kailangan pag-deliveran, and so mas mababa yung amount na energy na kailangan ko just to transport these materials. Another is to communicate your goals. This is crucial, or this is I think the most important for me as I'm looking for the suppliers, that we should be able to have a common view that these are the goals of the store, and that I wanted them to be part of the store following this advocacy of mine. So that it was easier for me to communicate with them, to get what I need. For example, in bulk buying, I'm also requesting for materials that are compostable when they are delivering the products or the raw materials. Okay. Another is to encourage more sustainable products. So um, I have also experienced that in one supplier they do not actually provide the products or the practices that I actually um, was intending to provide to my customers. And so when I communicated with them that these are our goals for the store, then they were actually able to find ways in order to provide this. So in a way, you're also um, influencing the suppliers to lead a more sustainable practice with their business. Lastly, no, second to last is to utilize stricter environmental policies in contracts. So you can also specify the the specifics of the contract that you want to work with your suppliers. And lastly is to work with other businesses and organizations, even the local community, to support the development of efficient, for example, waste separation or collection, um, and recycling of materials. So generally, you have to take an active role in influencing and working with suppliers in order for you to achieve the objectives of your business. When it comes to the store policies, we implemented in the first day on the opening of the store that customers would have to bring their own bag. I've experienced a lot of customers actually um, expressing that it's hard for them to provide this. That sometimes they just walk by my store and remember that they have to buy something, and so they do not really have the bags for as their shopping bags. So those are some of the challenges that I've experienced. But eventually, when I communicated with them that these are my goals, I wanted to reduce the amount of waste and this process, then they were actually able to understand it and complied with these policies in the store. Another is the paperless billing, that we opted for this kind of service and made use of sometimes online forms, or we have an online POS that it could send the online receipts to the email address that they provide, as you recognize that paper are actually represents more than 70% of the office waste. So in order for me to be able to help in reducing the amount of waste, then I opted for a paperless billing, which I know have been prevalent now that we have more advanced applications and technology that allow us to do this. And lastly, if in case that there's really a need for them to make use of a bag or a container, then I just reuse the packaging materials in order to provide them um, with uh, bags or boxes to carry their to carry the products. Then I also offered customer incentives that when a customer would buy in bulk, he or she would get, of course, or would save more. As in effect, when they are buying in bulk, they actually choosing um, to reduce the waste, not just by saving money, that um, that in buying in smaller quantities would actually mean that there will be a more need for the packaging materials, which is also costly for me. So it's a win-win situation when the customers would buy in bulk. And as I've shown a while ago, they can make use of the same container that they bought from the store and get an incentive in making use of it on their next purchase. So this is to also encourage them with the sustainable practices that are being served in the store. Lastly, choosing a career. Um, there was a need for this during the latter part, especially when nearing the lockdown, that the customers would have to offer delivery instead of going to the store physically. So some considerations um, that I used in choosing a career is that it should provide compostable mailers, or if not, it should allow me to use my own packaging, which I make sure are most likely biodegradable or compostable materials. So, in using compostable mailers, this actually would compose in just 6 months. So, um, unlike the other materials that would need years and years before it fully degrades with the use of compostable mailers, it would lessen the amount of waste that will be present in our environment. If you will be the one delivering your own products, then I suggest that you deliver during non-peak traffic hours, again, to lessen the amount of carbon emission that will be produced with the transportation of the products. Okay. So that's fairly about it. I hope, although it was simple, it made you more aware of the activities that you can actually practice, and that you as a consumer or a future entrepreneur would be able to follow, and in of course in achieving your goals in economic prosperity, as well as contributing to the environment and the societal prosperity. Okay, so I will end the slide presentation with this quote that companies who work with values always attract the best people. And so that's about it. Thank you again for your time and for having me as your first speaker in this year's Eco Talk.
All right, thank you, po. Thank you for
Oh,
giving those insights, Miss Miranda.
thank you.
I definitely learned a thing or two about what it takes to run an eco-friendly and sustainably minded business and how one can encourage your customers as an entrepreneur to do sustainable practices. And I'm pretty sure everyone here definitely picked up some helpful ideas from that talk.
Hello. Before we continue, just a few reminders before we proceed. In the chat box, there is a link for Google Forms if you would like to submit questions, because after all the speakers are done, we are going to have a Q&A portion, and there we will address all your questions. Also, a reminder for SciTech students, please wait for the evaluation form that will be posted at the towards the end of the webinar. Thank you. So, Ivan.
All right. Now, before we move on to the next talk, just to liven up the energy a little bit, we'll play a little intermission game. So, what game will we be playing today, Colleen?
Wait. Hello. Okay, so we're going to play four picks, one word. I'm pretty sure everyone pretty much knows this game. So just in case someone doesn't know, here's the rules. We'll just brush you up a little bit on it. We'll be flashing a set of four pictures that are linked together by one word, and you will try to guess the underlying word that presents all four of them. So yeah, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is, oh my goodness, all you have to do is just app, put your answers in the chat, and yeah, that's it. So can everyone see my screen? Is it okay?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so this is the first word. So, guys, what do you think this is? Just answer in the chat. I can't really see the chat. Okay.
All right, we
Did they
have,
get it?
yeah, everyone got it.
Everyone got it? Okay, so
The
yes.
first winner was UD Kilaw.
Wow. Good job, good job. Familiar parang familiar.
What's next?
Can you is it not changing? Yes, okay, mangroves. So these are mangroves. Very, very I think a lot of us know what these are anyway, and they're very good for the environment. So yes,
And
plant more mangroves.
this is also a hint to our next talk.
Yes, a hint to our next speaker. So our next one is this. It's actually two words. I'm sorry. But these are two words. But what do you guys think this is? I can't see the
It's all right, I can see it. Okay, we have winners. Our
You
first,
got it?
yeah, they got everyone. Christian Ronquillo,
Wow, wow. So smart. So smart.
urban
What
development.
okay. Good job. Good job. As you can see, yes, that's correct. Everyone, you got it all correct, I'm sure. So, yes, of course, this is urban development. As you can see, it's what is happening right now. Another hint to our next speaker. Very exciting. So, our next one, this is our third one. They got it?
No one,
No?
no one yet. All right,
Is it hard?
Isaiah John Fernandez.
Wait, sorry. Uh-huh. They
What's the
got it?
answer, Colleen? Yes.
Okay, cool. Yay, it's business. So it's just really related to our first speaker, which is Miss Clara. So, yes, who has a sustainable business. And it's very exciting to see her business flourish. So go support these businesses, guys. Oops, sorry. Okay, our last picture is Allah. It does not want to move. Do you see it?
Not yet.
Not
No.
yet.
Okay. Ayaw. Okay, I guess it's fine. Never mind. It's okay. But our last one was sustainability. It was, yeah, about sustainable businesses, which pertains to the first talk of Miss Clara, which is very interesting. So, you guys, that was it. Thank you for participating in that. How do I stop sharing? Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. You got, okay. You can start sharing again, I think. How do I stop sharing?
Just click.
There. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry. Yes, I'm not used to it.
It's
Okay,
okay.
so our next speaker actually is our last speaker, unfortunately, but very exciting. It is he is Dr. Severino G. Salmo III. He has studied at the University of Queensland in Australia and University of Ryukyu in Japan. He specializes in mangrove ecology, just like we showed in our four picks one word, restoration ecology, and coastal management. Let us welcome Mr. Severino G. Salmo III, PhD, and Mr. Salmo, the floor is yours.
Hello. Can can I share my screen?
Yes, sir.
Oops, sorry. It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Wait lang, Dr. Salmo.
It's fine.
Okay, guys. So while we're waiting for the next speaker to set up the presentation, no? So just a little reminder for the SciTech students, no? The evaluation form is going to serve as your attendance. So you will have to wait for it at the end of the what do you call this? The talk. Okay, and then for those of you who won the game earlier, we did take note, no, and then Greenergy and the department will actually give you prizes in the form of Gcash, no, so Gcash. So please make sure to contact us with your details, no, and then we will arrange for your prize. Thank you for participating, and let us wait for the setting up of the next speaker.
Hello, sir. Can you share already, or is it still?
Yeah, I will try.
Sir,
Uh, it
na ba?
says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Paano ko i-co-host si Sir? Paano ko i-co-host si Dr. Salmo?
Right click.
Ah,
Click on my name, then right click.
okay po. Um, wala po. Baka it's the host, si Sir Benny, kailangan.
Yes, yung host
Because I'm
Miss
should
just
Clara,
enable
can you
me.
transfer the host to
Yeah.
me? Tapos I can transfer the host to Sir Benny.
Yeah.
Po, Miss Clara. Thank you.
Paano po kaya yan?
You can
Okay.
right click
Start,
my name
yeah.
and then transfer host.
Ayan,
Ayun.
sir.
Ayan, okay. So I'll handle the rest
Thank
na,
you.
no. Okay, thank you so much, Miss Clara. No, sorry everyone for the
Thank you.
delay. I'm going to proceed with transferring the host. Okay, so I've transferred it now. The floor is yours, Dr. Salmo.
Okay. All right, there. Thank you. Oops. Share. Yeah. Oops. Just to check if it's my slide already that's being shown on the screen. Okay na ba?
Yes, sir. We see it, sir.
Okay. Magandang hapon.
Hello, sir. Okay na. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to present a topic that is very close to my heart. I'm referring to mangroves. And When the organizers ask me for a title, I think of it as an opportunity to explain why am I so passionate about mangroves, and what does it has to do with your team on nature's economy and technology. So I choose this title, Understanding Mangrove Ecosystem Services, Challenges and Opportunities for Philippine Mangroves. Then, oops, before that, this picture is in Siargao. It's a very good place, high biodiversity, very important key biodiversity area. Pictures on the right, believe it or not, early photos of mangroves in Manila Bay, taken by the author, one of the first foresters, American foresters who studied Philippine mangroves during that era. Obviously, we don't have that mangroves anymore in Manila Bay, not that size. Funny thing is that the city of Manila is actually named after this species, Saipipora hydrophyllaceae, what we call nilad in Tagalog. So, having said that, this is a good opportunity to explain and
Hello, sir.
understand. Hello? Yeah.
Hello.
Am I still being heard? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay lang kasi may naririnig akong anyway, so this is an opportunity to understand what are mangroves and what happened in the past. Why are we on this status? That's why my title is Misunderstanding or Understanding Mangrove Ecosystem Services. And I'm holding this lens, hopefully with the mindset that we can think of it, we can analyze what happened. So bear with me. I'll be discussing uh, the, uh, to go with the theme, I'll be discussing the role of mangroves in economy and technology, the ecosystem services. Why are mangroves very important in meeting our needs for food, for security, and at the same time, I hope I can challenge you enough to understand how you, as students, faculty, researchers, can contribute in doing mangrove conservation and restoration. To start with, I tried to Google prior to this talk, what do we mean by nature's economy and technology? Uh, Luckily enough, I was able to get this source from 2010 reference by Trevor Pierce, linking the concept of the economy of nature with that of Charles Darwin's definition of the same word, simply economy of nature, referring to the capability of nature, the capability of biodiversity to provide services that are related to human survival. Of course, the context now may be similar, but at the same time, there could be challenges. Is this still applicable? Very recently, IUCN, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, coined the term nature-based solution. And I think the previous speaker also mentioned environmental sustainability, so on and so forth. No? But the concept is quite similar with the concept of Darwin, stating that nature-based solutions are actions to protect, sustainably manage, and restore ecosystems. Bear in mind that it should address societal challenges. There are several challenges. No? At the end of it, it should be providing human well-being and the benefits of biodiversity. Okay. Right. So let's try to understand nature, but in this case, I'll be very straightforward with mangroves. When you look at the photos that were shown earlier by the organizers, sure, it's a mangrove, right? But there are different mangroves, And what is a mangrove exactly? Just to clarify concept, mangrove is a terrestrial plant, meaning it is very similar to your upland forest species. The main difference with that, however, is that it is a terrestrial plant species. However, it is adaptive to a coastal marine environmental condition. What you call the concept of ecotone. No? In fact, the presence of mangroves here is actually related to the presence of forests on the upland, but at the same time, the presence of mangroves is also affected by the presence and the health of the other equally important coastal ecosystems, the seagrasses and that of the coral reefs. You take out one ecosystem, there will always be a negative effect to the other ecosystems. And I'm showing this slide because different mangrove species actually have a different habitat that they would prefer to survive. Therefore, depending on your position, there are different mangrove species that can be found in the shoreline here, just like what the organizers showed before in the game. But there are also mangroves that are located near the upland forest. And of course, there are mangrove species that are located in between terrestrial and that of a coastal environment. So simply a concept of species zonation, species preference depending on the condition. And the arrangement that we observe in nature was designed by nature. It cannot be altered. A very important concept when you do restoration program. Yes, we need to plant, but we have to be very careful what species to plant. All right. So when did mangroves evolve? Probably hundreds of thousands of years ago. They are there, and therefore it's very important for us to conserve them. There are different types and different structures of mangroves. It can be as small or as short as this. Maybe they can be in isolation. Maybe they can form a stunted forest or a highly structured forest, or as big as this in Busuanga, Palawan, or as big as this in Puerto Galera in Oriental Mindoro. Note that here, the roots are actually taller than my height. Okay? If you go inside, then it will be more interesting because you will see a diverse set of species. Right? Now, what is the contribution of mangroves in nature's economy? If you look at it, IUCN, UNEP, and other international agencies came up with these infographics referring to the different ecosystem services provided by mangroves. Again, take note of the definition, nature-based solution, meaning it should be free and should be accessible for everyone. If you look at the values, there are several opportunities for tourism, for example, fisheries, even that of water filtration, referring to cleaning the water, cleaning the environment, and so on and so forth. I also mentioned here carbon sequestration. If you look at it, this is in Manila Bay, photos of birds that are living in the mangroves. This is a viper in Subic, Zambales, a poisonous snake, and these are the juvenile fishes underneath the mangrove roots. You look at it, and if you value the provisioning for food, provisioning for filtration, provisioning for climate regulation, the value is estimated, as estimated by UNEP, it should be around $33,000 to $57,000 dollars per hectare per year. And this is a global figure, 14 million hectares globally. The value should be around $800 billion per year. Okay. Of course, when you go in a localized context, not all mangroves are as healthy as what was valued by the UNEP or by the IUCN. Now, This is again in Siargao. If you have a healthy mangroves, most likely you will have a benefit on tourism. This is in Siargao Island Protected Landscape and Seascape. It is a very popular place. I'm sure most of you, when you go and visit a place, there will always be a shirt or something else that will be available for tourists for purchase. No? When we were there last year, before the, sorry, 2 years ago, before the pandemic, the mayor, actually from UPLB, no? A good friend of ours, was able to tour us around Siargao, and we see for ourselves, no? The health of the mangrove forest in Siargao. This is in municipality of Del Carmen. And I don't know if you can have a reference point. No? Here are crabs. We also have lobsters. And fishers said they got the mangrove, the crabs and the fisheries for their daily survival, daily food needs, aside from the income that is provided by tourism. Everything provided by a healthy mangroves. Okay, and that's in Siargao. Luckily, if you have tourism, it's not just tourism per se, but in fact, in Silonay, in Calapan, Oriental Mindoro, you have a very healthy mangroves. They actually won the best mangrove award, first runner-up. The winner was the mangrove site in Siargao, no? So they were ranked first and second in that order, no? When you look at it, if you have a healthy mangroves, it provides fisheries aside from tourism. Okay, so here values on the average around 3 kilos per day. It depends on the fishing effort of the fishers. Uh, Fisheries is easily valued. You put an economic value because you're selling it outright. Every time you do fishing, you sell it in the market, you get value. But there's also another aspect for fisheries, and it's very important for livelihood, source of livelihood, source of income, but also a source of food, what we call gleaning, or simply collecting shellfishes like this, a high valued shellfish, very common in Manila Bay. Uh, you don't really sell this much, as far as I know, but the mere fact that it is readily available for common fishers, for fishers to harvest every day, that in itself provides instant source of food for people. Okay, what's the value of an instant source of food? No? On the average, if you harvest 1 kilo per day, that's good enough for at least 100 pesos. And how many people are benefiting from gleaning or from fishing or from tourism? You put that, quantify that, and instantly you can have a sense of economic valuation. Okay? Now, I mentioned food, I mentioned income, I mentioned livelihood, but there are other aspects in mangroves that are equally important. And I'm referring to the safety or the security or the survival of humans, Filipinos, for example. Most likely, when we encounter natural disasters, mangroves will always be able to protect us to some extent. Na? Very close to Manila, where you are, this one was studied, I think, 2014. You know that in Manila Bay, there are issues of heavy metal contamination. Okay? What happened is that when the environment is contaminated, then mangroves and also with other coastal wetland species, they are able to absorb heavy metals, right? What happens is that when they absorb heavy metals, no one wants to take heavy metals, of course, but mangroves being wetland ecosystem will be able to absorb the heavy metals, what you call the pollutants. They absorb it, they integrate it within their body parts, within the plant parts, and then they accumulate and recycle it from within. What will happen to the mangroves? Obviously, because they are affected by heavy metals, their growth and survival is constrained. Why are they doing it? Why are they doing that? Because mangroves are good in protecting the environment. The heavy metals that are supposed to be contaminating the environment is of course absorbed and regulated by the mangroves. This is in La Papachea, Las Piñas Parañaque Critical Habitat and Ecotourism Area. Another aspect is the mining effluent. This is a very important issue for us. There are several mining companies operating in the country. So same story. If there are mangroves, then the mining effluents will be absorbed by the mangroves and it will be recycled by the mangrove. Right? If you don't have mangroves, then you will be forced to have machines or maybe a daily cleaning effort to reduce the mining contaminants. Luckily for us, there are mangroves that are available and they will do the job for us. Now, in terms of habitat interconnectivity and the importance of biodiversity, mangroves is important in bleaching event. When you say coral bleaching, of course, what does bleach is the corals, no? Not the mangroves. But in this study, this recently published, when corals bleach, in this case in Palawan, the fishes that were affected by the coral bleaching in the coral reef will be able to shift and migrate to a healthy mangrove ecosystem. In a way, when coral reef is disturbed, the animals that are dependent on the coral reefs will have the means to go and migrate in the mangroves. You take out the mangroves, and then there's a coral bleaching event, which happens at least every 4 years. Then there will be nowhere for the fishes to go. Right? Another issue, of course, is the rising sea level. On the average, the Philippine archipelago is 4 to 5 times more vulnerable than that of the global average. Now, if you look at it, if there's a rising sea level, in theory, mangroves can keep pace with a rising sea level simply because if the mangroves are healthy, then they will be able to produce detritus. The detritus will be able to accumulate in the bottom. In a way, your surface elevation will compensate with the rising sea level. Now, without mangroves, then you will be forced to come up with some protection infrastructure similar to this. But if you have mangroves, then perhaps you don't need it. Of course, in reality, we don't have we don't have much mangroves to protect us from a rising sea level. So when we say, can mangroves keep pace with contemporary sea level rise? The answer in theory is yes. In reality, however, on the ground, the answer is no, simply because in the event that there is a rising sea level, mangroves should be able to move landward if there is an available space. But if this accommodation space is not available, for example, it became a mall similar to what's present in Manila Bay, maybe it became a tourism spot, maybe it became an industrial area, then there's no place for the mangroves to retreat. And therefore, what will happen is that we will have a coastal squeeze, a phenomenon that is already happening in the country. Okay. Well, obviously, we do receive 20 typhoons in a year. When Typhoon Yolanda, Super Typhoon Yolanda happened, there was a realization that mangrove will save us against typhoons. In fact, the title was Mangroves Can Protect Us Against Super Typhoons. Similar to rising sea level, my answer is yes, but no, right? Yes, obviously in theory, mangroves can protect us if they are healthy, if you have sufficient mangrove cover to protect against typhoons. But let me correct the notion. If you will plant mangroves now, today, and there's a super typhoon tomorrow, then it's not possible that mangroves can save you in a typhoon tomorrow. Okay? In fact, cases like this, a 15, 20-year-old mangroves, it looks like very healthy when all of a sudden, if you have a strong super typhoon, a scale or a magnitude just like that of super typhoon Yolanda, then your mangrove can only do so much. Without saying that mangrove is not important in uh, giving us protection, I'm simply stating that you need a healthy mangrove and a vast mangrove to give you a sufficient protection level. I hope I made that clear. Okay. Now, as I prepared to this talk, I was fortunate enough to visit Taiwan, I think 2015 or 2016. They do have mangroves, but not as diverse and as structurally complex with that of Philippine mangroves. Uh, I don't know if you can see this. Parang jackstone, no? I don't know if you're still playing jackstone. No? And then this is a 100-meter simulation they created. They tried to mimic mangroves because they don't have the benefits of having a lush mangrove similar to the Philippine condition. Luckily for them, they have the money to come up with an experiment to simulate nature, to simulate mangroves. We don't have that money. What I'm simply stating is that while we have the resources, we need to learn to appreciate, to understand the values that are being protected by mangroves. Look, they invested just to come up with a simulation exercise. They tried to come up with this. When I see this, my own eyes, I thought it's quite difficult to understand the experiment, but they don't have a choice. They don't have mangroves. While where us is that we need to conserve and appreciate nature as it is. Otherwise, we may not be able to realize that anymore. Okay, that's in Taiwan. I have 5 minutes. Sorry. Uh, I've been talking about food. I've been talking about protection against typhoons. In India, they were able to come up with pharmaceutical products from mangroves. Maybe we have a similar situation now. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, a colleague from University of Santo Tomas was able to come up with possibly locating or isolating microorganisms that has a huge potential to be a good source of antibiotics. Right? We don't explore that yet at the moment, but solutions are right there in our under our noses. Something to explore, something to appreciate. Okay, right. Again, this is a slide from IUCN. Mangroves is considered a nature superheroes. It provides food, provides biodiversity, provides protection, provides adaptation mechanism against climate change. If it is a superhero, how do we treat our superhero? How do we treat our mangroves? Right? Now, this has been the problem in the past: mangrove cutting, conversion to fish ponds, coastal development, coastal reclamation. All of it happened, is still happening, and probably might still happen in the next coming 10 to 20 years. Right? Now, this is the case of Philippine mangroves now. If you're interested, I'll be willing to discuss it. Um, At the moment, we have an increasing mangrove cover simply because we do invested in a lot of massive mangrove planting programs in the past. Some of them survived, some of them did not survive. Monospecific mangrove planting, they provide some protection, but not as equally important, equally functional with that of a natural mangroves. Okay? Some good news. Just 2 months or just last month, this is in Sasmuan, Pampanga. We have a new Ramsar site in, this is a result of Mount Pinatubo eruption. There's this colonization in Manila Bay. After 20 years, we do have mangroves. No? It's a good Ramsar site. Obviously, we need to do more protection. Right? Protection against flooding. Okay, down to some few slides. This is in Manila Bay. How do we appreciate nature? 1996, this is the mangrove distribution, the green ones in Manila Bay. 2016, if we really appreciate or understand or protect our superheroes, mangroves, then how come this is happening? Maybe we don't understand what is a mangrove. Maybe we don't understand their roles. In fact, the destruction, the damage continues. You have the cases in Cavite, a big industry that cut off mangroves. The other one is in Bulacan. They remove mangroves to give way to a new infrastructure development. How do you treat your superheroes? Like this? Like this? Maybe if you plant it now, in 20 years' time, you will be able to come up with a healthy mangroves. But you need to start now. Otherwise, I'm down to this now. When I say who holds the lens, this lens, who are the examiners, who appreciate nature. In the eyes of a scientist like me, I value biodiversity, I value genetics. In the eyes of a teacher, like your teachers, in the eyes of a student, it's a natural laboratory, it's a natural resource, it's a God-given gift, something to treasure. But in the perspective of fishers, these are for their immediate survival, a source of food, a source of security. When mangroves are damaged, it is not just the fishers, the scientists, and the teachers that are affected, practically all of us. If they are damaged by mining, by typhoons, all of us are practically affected. When I say hold the lens, let's hold the lens together. I started with the slide on misunderstanding mangrove ecosystem services. I hope we will be able to understand mangroves. We understand nature. We understand the contribution of mangrove to economy and technology. And I end my talk with that. Hope you learn something and please try to visit our mangrove website mangroveecology.com, and this is my email address. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sir Dr. Salmo, for that wonderful talk. We really enjoyed it. As someone who lives in currently in Mindanao, I can see mangroves almost every day when I simply just go to outside, and it's really you can see how much importance they have in the environment and how well protected they are here. But for me, when I'm in Manila, I rarely see any mangroves. So I think that's something that we all can agree on to improve. So now that concludes all our guest speakers for today. And with that, we will now move on to the Q&A portion of our program and open the floor to questions from the audience. If you'd like to ask any questions, I sent a link in the chat box where you can send all your questions there. And now we are going to check some that has been sent. Oh wow, there's a lot. Okay. I'm unfortunately I don't know if we're going to be able to address all these, but okay, I'll just pick one. Um, this one is directed to Dr. Salma. What made you decide to choose the career path of specializing in mangrove ecology and coastal management? And what made you see the importance of mangroves in our ecosystem?
Sorry, paki-ulit, hindi ko na-capture yung tanong.
Okay, oh, sorry. It says here, what made you decide to choose the career path of specializing in mangrove ecology and coastal management? What made you see the importance of mangroves in our ecosystem?
Thank you for asking that question. You know, I'm from Nueva Ecija. It's a landlocked area. We don't have mangroves. But when I started my research career in UP, in Marine Science Institute, uh, the most studied ecosystem is of course the coral reef because of the popularity with media. At that time, 1990s, mid 1990s, there are very few people working on mangroves. And when I go out in the field, I saw something, a tree that has a very unique features. You know, the roots, unlike most trees, the roots of the mangroves are outside the soil. Okay, and then it triggered my curiosity. Why do mangroves like this? And then I look at the literature, how many people are studying mangroves, and then at that time there are very few. Then mangroves have been credited by coastal communities they said that mangroves are good for fisheries. It provides them livelihood, provides them protection. Then I wondered, how come? And that triggered my curiosity, my interest until such time, hindi ko napansin na in love na ako literally sa mangrove. And until now, there are so many things that I'm still interested. Yung pharmaceutical products that's new, uh, there are still so many things that needs to be studied. But if you're interested, I'll be very happy to collaborate and supervise students. It started with curiosity.
Okay, thank you, sir. This next question, I think it is directed to Miss Clara. There are few here. It says, "What is the name of your store, Miss Miranda? And do you have any suggestion where to buy compostable packaging?"
Okay, good afternoon again. My store is named as Reduce Lifestyle Store, which is a mixed word of reduce and reuse. Um, it was initially located in the Manila residences. However, right now I'm still continuing the refilling services, but I'm doing it at the comfort of my home now. So I still made sure that there will be alternative eco-friendly products within the community that I'm in. Um, for the for the compostable mailers, you could check out Fifth Express. That's a courier that uses these compostable mailers. There also Echo, I forgot about it, but it starts with Echo. If also you could, I'd like to encourage you to join Facebook groups, Zero Waste PH or Buhay Zero Waste. And then you can also learn different sustainable practices with the experience of different members of that group. That's also how I was able to explore and learn about these different practices.
Thank you, Miss Clara. I have one more question. It says here, other than rising eco-friendly materials and resources being developed, how do you think sustainability can be achieved locally in the future? This one's for you, Miss Clara.
Okay, so other than the identified practices, I think let's start with raising the awareness of everyone. That once each one of us would know and understand the importance of participating in this movement, then we can, even with our little or small efforts or actions, even doing it imperfectly, an accumulation of these activities would actually make a big difference. So let's keep ourselves aware of the consequences of our activities. Let's also learn different ways that we can actually reverse these damages that we are causing the environment. I hope I was able to answer that.
Thank you, Miss Clara. And on our last question, here it says, I think this is for Dr. Salma. It says, is there any specific place around Metro Manila that is fitting to be a place where mangroves could healthily grow at?
If I captured the question correctly, if there are places in Metro Manila where mangroves can grow, is that the question? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, again, thank you for asking that question. Manila Bay originally, that's why it was named after a mangrove species, no? The nilad, Cypipora hydrophyllaceae. Well, if you can infer that all the way to Pasig River, from north to south, Bulacan to Cavite, it used to be occupied by mangroves. So my short answer is that yes, it can be grown in Metro Manila, but we have to be very careful where to plant mangroves. Obviously, the situation before doesn't longer apply in our condition now. As far as I know, there are places, yung sa La Papachea, and then Cavite area, and then yung sa North Bulacan and yung sa may Valenzuela area. There's a lot that we need to conserve and we need to restore.
Thank you, sir. I think that's all the time we have for the question and answers. Thank you for everyone who gave a lot of questions. It's actually a lot, but we weren't able to address them all due to time constraint. So now let us move on to the giving of the certificates. We would like to thank our guest speakers for sharing their time with us today and their knowledge. Now, Miss Evangeline Enriquez will be presenting them with these certificates as a sign of appreciation on behalf of Greenergy and De La Salle College of St. Benilde.
Before I read on the certificate, may I just read some of the comments posted dun sa chat. It says here, thank you very much, Dr. Salmo, for reminding us the value of such a fine resource, which our country is abundantly blessed with. That's from Mr. Jose Marie Gonzalez.
Thank you.
From Dr. Dennis Caballes, commendations to Dr. Salmo and Professor Clara Miranda. Very interesting and well-delivered talk. Actually, they are very interesting combination of nature's technology wherein we really make use of through eco-friendly businesses. Thank you very much for that. And with this, we would like to thank our two speakers and hand them this certificate of appreciation presented to Professor Clara Therese Miranda in grateful acknowledgement for having to share your valuable knowledge as guest speaker given on this second 12th day of March 2021. Signed, Katrina. Ang liit, sorry. Hindi ko mabasa, sobrang liit. Thank you very much. Aluwad Project Manager, Greenergy, John Medwin Uy, President, and Michael Lewis Ong, Advisor, Greenergy. Thank you very much, Ms. Miranda, for that very interesting talk. Bibili na kami sa'yo, ha? Maghanda ka na. Okay. And this certificate certificate of appreciation is hereby presented to Dr. Severino Salmo in grateful acknowledgement for having to share your valuable knowledge as a guest speaker given on this 12th day of March 2021. Signed, Katrina Alwad ba yun? Sorry, project manager. Sorry talaga. John Medwin Uy, President, and Michael Lewis Ong, Advisor, Greenergy. This EcoTalk is actually a collaborative project of Greenergy and the SMS School for Multidisciplinary Services. Thank you very much to our two invaluable speakers for today. And please don't forget the evaluation form posted sa chat room. Please take note of those. And this will also serve as your attendance to your respective classes. Colleen?
Yes, Miss. Okay, sorry. Thank you, Miss Miranda and Sir Dr. Salmo for sharing these insightful messages and sharing your time with us. We are truly grateful that you have imparted to us this knowledge and shared your time. On that inspiring note, we have reached the end of our Eco Talk for 2021, Nature's Economy and Technology. For the closing remarks, we'd like to welcome again Ms. Evangeline Enriquez.
Thank you, Ms. Colleen. I would like to share this. I always share this to my classes. Okay, sandali lang ha. Ay, sorry. Sorry. Again. Ay. Not that one. Ano ba yan? Just a reminder for everyone on what also mentioned by Dr. Salmo earlier. And I just second the motion that most of the time we forget our responsibilities, we forget our roles, we forget, well, probably because we are too busy with so many things. Okay, and I also would like to thank everyone who joined this webinar. And I find, like I said, I find it significant that we are reminded of the significance of nature for our survival, not merely of its providence for humanity that no human intelligence can do. Let's face the fact. So I would like to share the thought: we can only appreciate the miracle of a sunrise if we have waited in the darkness, which is true. We have been in the darkness not only because of the COVID-19, but because we take for granted the reminders nature has been providing us. Maybe because, as mentioned, we are not directly affected, or maybe we just do not care because we are so preoccupied with so many things. This is the right time. This is the best time. Let us listen to what nature is trying to tell us. Let us act as one and protect what is left for us and for the future. Again, thank you very much for joining and for listening to what nature has to tell us.
Thank you, Ms. Vanji, for those inspiring words. Now that we've reached the end of our event, we thank you all for coming, and we're sure that you all have learned how crucial sustainable practices are amidst the issues that continue to threaten our environment today. Once again, I'm your host, Colleen,
And even,
and thank you for attending this year's EcoTalk, Nature's Economy and Technology.
before we end, we would like to remind you to answer the evaluation form, especially for the SciTech students here.
Yes. So we hope you have learned something from our event today, and hope you all stay safe and have a great day ahead.
Colleen,
And
can we have a group
and a
picture,
picture.
please?
And a group
Yes.
picture. So if you guys can turn on your cameras if you're willing to do so, that would be great. Let's just wait for others. Thank you.
Yan.
Yay.
Kay gaganda at kay gugwapo. So who's going to take the picture?
Ako na lang. Okay.
Colleen, take it away.
Okay, okay. Oh no, there's a lot of pages. Okay. Okay, 1, 2. Okay, second page pa. Okay. 1, 2. And next page. Okay, last page. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. Have a nice weekend ahead.